So I think we can all agree that Xbox Game Pass was a great value in gaming, but it looks like it's going to get even better than that. But before we get on with the video, you guys know how it is. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content. And don't forget to go over there and follow me at Twitter at LordAddictILP. I'm always doing updates on there. Without any further ado, let's talk about the value of Game Pass, and it might potentially be getting better. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Guide here, coming at you for another video. Today we're going to be talking about Game Pass. Now, I know there is a lot of people that have Game Pass, such as myself, and we've always stated that, you know, this is a great deal in gaming. It's great value. You have access to a bunch of third-party games, a bunch of indie games, some third-party day and date, and you have access to Microsoft's first-party exclusives day and date. But if you're anything like me, you've always wondered if they're ever going to do anything like that's like a family plan, kind of like Nintendo Switch does with their current online subscription service. And I've actually been a little bit in the middle, because that actually is pretty much a hard area to determine how much money you would charge for a family plan, how many people you would be able to add to it, etc., etc. It's a lot of variables that I didn't know if Microsoft was willing to tackle, because Game Pass is still kind of in its infancy stage. Well, Jez Corden over there and Windows Central, you know, we love Jez Corden because he gives us so much content to make. He's a well-trusted insider. Does he get everything right? Of course not. But in this article that I'm about to read to you, he pretty much says that he's heard for a while that there's going to be some form of family plan that they've been looking into, and now he feels comfortable really talking. But let's read what he says. One glaring omission from Xbox Game Pass historically has been the lack of any sort of Xbox Game Pass family plan, which would let you share access to the service among a household. We've written about the need for such a plan before, especially since Nintendo offers a family plan with its online services, and platforms like Disney Plus and Netflix have had it for years now. For those of you that don't know, like Netflix, you can have up to like 4 people on the plan. You just have to pay a little bit more. So let's keep reading this. I've heard about Microsoft's desire to create a family plan quite a while ago at this point. Although there were details to work out on how royalties may be distributed and how license from third-party publishers would be compensated for the users who weren't attached to the main plan. According to trusted sources familiar with Microsoft's effort, we can now confirm that Xbox is moving ahead with an Xbox Game Pass family plan, which could set to launch sometime this year. He goes on to read, from our information, paying on a higher tier for an Xbox Game Pass family plan will net access for 5 players for games among the entire library, and will be far cheaper than paying for 5 separate Xbox Game Pass accounts, as necessary today. Utilizing Microsoft's family account system is already in use for the 360. Players within the same country will be able to play games using the single Xbox game subscription managed by a central account holder in much the same way as Netflix. Some details remain unclear for now, though. For example, there will be a separate family plan for PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass. So, you know, one would think that if you have Ultimate, you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that you could do both. But maybe they're just going to do separate ones, and you can't, you know, do both of them if you are an Ultimate. It's kind of interesting that they're not going to do that if you have Ultimate. And the exact pricing is also unknown as of written, besides that it will reportedly be far cheaper than having to pay for separate accounts as required today. We're not sure exactly when all of this will be announced, but it does seem though Microsoft is readying up to make this public in the relatively near future. So what does that mean? That means that Xbox family plan is probably going to be coming. I would say they'd announce that at E3, because it seems like his source is relatively sure that it's going to be announced pretty soon. Now, I'm kind of curious to see how the pricing is going to be. I'm hoping Microsoft don't overshoot the price. Now, if it's 5 accounts, right now we pay $10 for a standard Xbox little Game Pass. Now, the reason I'm saying standard is because the way they worded that you would need a separate one for PC Game Pass makes me think that it's not accessible for Ultimate, because Ultimate offers you Game Pass PC. So it's kind of interesting how that goes. Now, hopefully with any luck, they'll actually do Game Pass Ultimate. And as long as you pay maybe whatever that increased amount would be, you can have up to 5 neither PC Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass. It's going to be interesting to see how they take that. Now, if I were a betting man, I would say that your standard thing will maybe $30 a month for up to 5 people. Now, I know that people think that that's a lot of money, but if you look at it from, you know, someone owning an Xbox and they have 3 or 4 kids in the actual household, one would think that $30 a month to have, you know, 2 or 3 of your kids and maybe a brother or sister on your plan would make sense. I feel like that would actually justify that price point. But I'm kind of curious to exactly, with game sharing that's going on right now, is this even really necessary? Because right now you can share Game Pass through, you know, maybe a way in a feature that wasn't initially supposed to be used on the Xbox, but people are using it that way to share digital library, etc., etc. So with that feature already being used, how many people is realistically going to take advantage of this? I would say there's going to be a lot of people, but I don't know if it's going to be like a huge amount of people. We'll have to see. I'm very curious. It all really depends on that price point. If it's more than $30, I think they'll have a hard sell. But at the end of the day, maybe Ultimate would be $40 a month because you have the PC version too and the Game Pass version, as long with, you know, streaming services. It's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see what the price pointing is. I would assume E3 is when we're probably going to see this. That would be my assumption. Well, not E3 because E3 got canceled. Whatever Microsoft decides to do around that E3 time slot, because they're still going to do something there. It's just, it's not going to be called E3. But anyway, that's just my opinions on the matter. Like I said, I don't really have any information. I'm sure Jazz's sources usually are pretty spot on. Sometimes it's a hit and miss. Very rarely he might be wrong. But you know, nothing is 100% in this business unless Microsoft comes out themselves and announce it. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.